Novocaine is a new action comedy movie that was just released on Pi Day. If you watch the movie, you'll see why Pi Day was an interesting release. This takes place around Christmas, this film, and although it's in San Diego, you get the vibe that it's a Christmas movie, kind of. There's a bit of references to Christmas here and there, but anyway, let's talk about the movie's about. It follows Jack Quaid, who plays Nathan Kane. He's an assistant bank manager who lives kind of a boring, everyday life, kind of going through the motions. He isn't really enjoying what he's doing. He works at the bank, he goes to work, he goes home, he doesn't really enjoy his life. Then he meets Amber Midthumper's character, who's this sweet girl who works at the bank. They kind of fall in love, and things get more interesting for him. And then when Amber's kidnapped, he kind of has to use his special abilities to get her back. What are his special abilities? Well, he doesn't really have abilities. He actually has this just genetic disorder that makes it so he cannot feel pain, which becomes kind of the point of the movie. I went into this kind of thinking this was a superhero movie. It had been billed as one. This is a very interesting movie, though, where you can tell that it's a very interesting idea. I thought this movie, just getting right down to it, was a fun movie. It was a fun time. It is a flawed movie, though. It isn't a great film. It's not one that, I'm going to remember at the end of the year or think that was a great, subversive take on superhero movies. The James Gunn movie Super is something this kind of reminds me of, right down to the ending of the movie, which has a similar ending. But I thought that this movie, for what it was very entertaining, and it was well executed and well crafted. It is flawed, though. The story does leave a bit to desire, so I want to get into that. I think that the actual plot of this movie is very fun, but it does start kind of going off the rails, and you really have to suspend disbelief for this movie to work. I think that Jack Quaid, as this kind of everyday guy, who then, has the ability to not feel anything, and then he has to use that to get this girl. He's perfectly casted. He is excellent. And this is the first time I've really seen him lead a movie. I saw him in Companion recently, where he was a supporting role. He was very great. But he is great as the protagonist here. He really is just perfectly cast as this awkward, everyday, nice guy. I really believed him in this role. I think Amber Midthumper's also great. Jack Nicholson's son, Ray Nicholson, who's been in things recently as a psychopath. He always is playing these crazy roles. He was in Smile 2. He was really great in this movie. But I do think the movie just, while it's fun, it really does suffer from a plot structure that really is kind of all over the place, that really needs you to suspend disbelief. It's pretty convoluted. You really have to kind of accept that this is a Hollywood movie where things just happen because it's a movie in order to just, enjoy the movie. Like I said, I thought it was fun. I saw this in 4DX, which, by the way, is a great way to see the movie. It is really great because for the first 25, 30 minutes, there are no special effects whatsoever. You sit down in your 4DX theater, you're ready for the seats to start shaking. Nothing happens, which is fine because on screen, nothing really crazy is happening. Then, right when the first bit of action is happening, about 30 minutes in, it isn't even you just get jolted with the seats, with gunfire or anything. I love this. This chair's slowly tilted and they pan. The 4DX seats will do this. If there's a cool camera motion where the camera pans, the seats will pan with you. And as soon as that happened, you knew something was up. And then these bank robbers walk into the bank. And based on the trailer, I knew exactly what was going to happen. What this movie, it's interesting because of how it was marketed. I really didn't know if it was action comedy or superhero or a mix. But it really is just a very simple story. And it feels like a throwback to a movie we wouldn't really get today. It's a very simple action comedy. It's not like there's a lot of moving parts. It's really just Jack Quaid's character, this girl who, he falls in love with and wants to rescue, the bank robber characters, and there's some police in there. The police, there were a lot of issues with them. Feels like so much of the story happens because there are no police around or the police take forever to respond. That was really, an issue I have with the movie. Again, I get that this is a Hollywood movie. You got to do certain things. You got to make certain choices so the film will be fun and entertaining for everyone. But it does kind of just go off the rails in its third act. And I was thinking that a movie like this would be ripe for the superhero genre, that there would be lots of Easter eggs, lots of clever moments. It does feel like at points they're really just leaning into the fact that Jack Quaid can't feel pain. I don't know how else they're going to go about that, but yeah, he's being stabbed and all this shit, and an arrow goes through his leg, and he's oh man, darn it. That can only go on for so long, and they do that, and it's a lot of fun, but it's what you would expect for a movie like this. I thought it was very enjoyable, and I had a great time with it, but it is a bit of a mess near the end. It was a great 4DX experience, though. It was fun, so go see it. Let me know what you guys think of it. Thank you guys so much for watching.